And I'm sure many of us know the Honourable Professor here as well, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Before I talk about the hope that we all hopefully will bring to the hopeless situation of the helpless people in Malawi, I would like to thank Salim Bhai for having invited me to say a few words today, and also like to thank Caravans of Mercy who have over the years done fantastic work all over the world. I actually am a professor in pediatrics at the Manor Hospital in Walsall in Birmingham, and I'm also a professor at the University of Kentucky in the United States. But you may remember that I actually worked in Malawi Hospital in 1978 to 1980. So, in fact, I was reminiscing with a few people a minute ago about their mums or dads that I had looked after when I was there, with fondest memories. So, what is my credibility of coming here, basically, is the very fact that I'm a Malawian, I suppose, because I was born there. But the fact that I've also done a little bit of work, such as that's done by Islamic Relief, but in a very sort of small sort of way, because we are tiny, but we work very closely with Islamic Relief. Midland International Aid Trust is really my baby, and I'm Chief Executive of Midland International Aid Trust. It's run by two people, myself and Mr. Aslam, Muhammad Aslam, who is a very good friend of Dr. Hani Banna. In fact, the vision of both of them was to work together, but I think the situation altered, and I think Muhammad Aslam did something different. But having said that, we actually work very closely and very much together. You may actually know that my grandparents were from a family called Osman Adam, and it's a very old family in Malawi, and they came to Malawi in 1887, and it was soon after that a lot of Hindus came along, and then we had lots and lots of properties all over Malawi. And I was talking to Mr. Jiva a minute ago, reminiscing about Palombe and all these other areas where my dad had lots of properties. But those were the very, very good times. But unfortunately, a lot of the times that we are, the times that we're talking about now, are actually very sad times. And we are here today to try and hope to improve the lot of these people. Now, ever since the first text that I got about the Malawi floods, the first text that I got, many have clambered together to raise money for Malawi. At least 4 organizations that I know. And a lot of us have already pledged lots of money to go to various organizations, including Islamic Relief. You know, sitting here, we always feel that it is not going to happen to us. And when it does, I tell you one thing, we will never forget. And the people in Malawi are never going to forget this. It has happened in the tsunami, where again, you guys were there, we were there as well. It's happened in Malawi now, and I'm sure it will happen somewhere else. And every time it happens elsewhere, yes, we do help them. But Malawi for us is different. And why is it different? Because although we have left Malawi physically, emotionally, it is still our home. We love Malawi, we remember Malawi with the fondest memories that you can think of. In fact, even our children sometimes go to Malawi, even though they were not born there, and they too love going to Malawi. There was a video floating around, which some of you may have actually seen. The first video that I saw was of a truck going into the water in Malawi, and it slowly disappeared in the water and completely drowned. I don't know, it went around, so it must have, gone around with the virus all over, which often it does. And this is a disaster situation. So in any disasters, whether they're natural or whether they're man-made, by man-made I mean places like Syria or whatever, our immediate knee-jerk reaction is to say, what's going to happen about the food? So it's food, it's shelter, it's water, it's all these things that are immediately necessary. And these things are actually rights of every human being. It is our duty to make sure that everybody has a right to live. And the right to live is given to them by God Almighty, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is our duty to make sure that they get water, they get food, and they get shelter. And Islamic Relief, indeed, as you have said, Salim Bhai, has done a fantastic job with all this. Inshallah, we will do our best, but we have to remember one thing, that whatever we do today or in the next few days will only be touching the surface of what's going on. Because what's happened in Malawi, lots of people have come out of poverty or whatever, but the entire generation has changed. All the generational work that's taken place has disappeared. It'll take yet another generation to build all the infrastructure that was built already. Schools have gone. You see, we always think of food and that sort of thing. But what is left at the end of it is no schools for children for years and years. No crops for people. They cannot survive because there are no crops for people. The land has gone completely barren because you can't grow anything on that. All this will take time. It will take time, and we are there, hopefully, to help them. So, not only will there be problems from the immediate effect of the water, but the water that's still stagnant there is causing problems. That will need purifying. That has got disease. Children play in it. They get bilharzia. You see, I heard a short time ago somebody's got bilharzia. And you know, saying, oh, bilharzia, you know, those kids there playing in this water, right, get bilharzia every day. And it's just part of their life. And they haven't got the treatment. And they'll get more and more of it, Salim Bhai. And I'm glad that we are doing something to try and see that we can improve the situation. So it is our duty of care, because we don't know what the government is doing for these people. So it is our duty to care, to make sure that the displaced and also the destitute are looked after by. You know, over the last few days, few weeks, thousands and thousands have died. And many more have been maimed. Some have lost both their children and relatives. Others have lost their parents. The floods have robbed them of everything. They've robbed them of everything, except their lives. And it is heartbreaking to explain that they, the children of Malawi, and it's the children in particular, will be alone in this world because their parents have died. But we have to tell them today that no, they are not alone. We are there for them, and we will continue to be with them until that generation that has been lost with all the bits that have happened over the last few days, has received all the help that they need from people like ourselves. Not only will this happen today, but we'll have to continue doing it tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So today is just, from my point of view, the first time that I've been involved with you guys in Leicester. First time that I've met you guys. But I hope that we continue meeting and that we continue to help Malawi for years and years to come. So why should we care? Why should I care? I was born in Blantyre. You were talking about Limby earlier on. I was born in Blantyre many, many moons ago, it seems now. And having born in Malawi, and I suspect many of your parents were also born in Malawi. What about our parents? Yes, our parents worked hard. They worked hard to give us a good future. They worked hard to earn the pennies. Our mothers worked hard to bring us up. But what actually helped them do what they did? What actually helped them to help us to get our careers online, to become professionals, to leave the country and lead the life that we are leading? It was the poor people. You go to any of these places in Malawi and go back 40, 50 years to Palombe, to Malawi, to Sungani, to Zomba. Our forefathers used to run little shops, and outside the shops were little machines, sewing machines. Those sewing machines were run by African people, Malawians, and they were the ones who helped us make all this money. Go back to the mothers, our moms, my mom, my grandma. They were given some time to be able to cook and look after the family. You know why? Because there was the dobi, right? There was the cooking. At that time, we did not actually appreciate, Manuel. At that time, Manuel was just Manuel. But now, we think of these people with such fond memories. When Manuel was there, he was great. He used to look after me, he used to look after our kids. Think of the Mana boy and the Gero. Yeah? What about the Gero and the Mana boys? What did they do? They looked after us as babies. Yeah? Make sure they didn't go fell down into a fire or whatever. They looked after us. So it is that generation that we are paying back to. It's the grandparents and parents of the children who actually have died and have died in the flood. So it is our duty to pay back to those people who made us what we are today. So it is always, it's always in the tragedies of people that gives us an opportunity to try and shine a little light in the murky, dark corners where misery lurks. So we should make sure that all those corners that are dark, we shine a light there. And I'll just finish off, and I won't take very much of your time, Mr. Chairman. And I'll finish off in the words of Bill Gates, who I'm sure you'll all know. Bill Gates, Microsoft. He said, we, as human beings, will be judged by how we treat a people world away that have nothing in common with us except just their humanity. But here it's not only humanity. Here it is shared history as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that hopefully you will put your hands deep into your pockets and not only today, but tomorrow and the after tomorrow, help not only Caravans of Mercy, but also all the other organizations that are raising money for Malawi. Thank you, Jazakallah. Thanks for your time. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Jazakallah khairan. A huge manjama for the professor. Louder than that, come on. Zikaba Wandi.